Hello and welcome to the Port Huron statement. Boy, I've been testing the theories against known formulae and then using the AI to, obviously I'm not crunching these in my head, and what's kind of difficult is, there's not a lot of numbers to plug in because there's no experimentals. Well, I've actually started to find experimentals. One of them is, the redshift and microwave radio background. We're talking about, think about a star, it's 100 light years away. That frequency that we are observing from the emission of that star, how could that be how could that be determined on emission 100 years ago? So it just knew, this photon just knew. Either way, it proves it's impossible. They realized that the attosecond laser experiment that I'm talking about is already done using like any star that's far enough away. Because if we assume the subjective maths that I've already started to develop, where if you have one polynomial, right, one variable, you can't, like one formula, right, but if you have multiple formulas, then you can do you can create deductions based on, what do they call that, algebraic fucking concept where we plug it in, you're just inserting a formula for the variables that formula represents. It's just deduction with math. So, you can't do some of these things, though, with octonions, which is really cool. That's like the non-commutative, so like the order of operations is very significant, and that's what the whole thing is there's four dimensionalities that are subjective, essentially. We could say, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, we have space-time, and then is a simplistic way of imagining how the fano-set projects, our lived reality. I mean, this is a lot, so it's like hard to imagine. The octonion set is complex because you're imagining, well, we got real numbers, and we got our imaginary numbers, and then we got essentially two more dimensions of imaginary numbers, and then we got another 4 dimensions of imaginary numbers. And the reason that 8 is significant is because of the, norm division element, stuff like that. So you could say that the 8-dimensional imaginary number set represents, apparently, now, that's the other thing too, is with the incompleteness theorem, we would imagine that there is a high probability that there are additional norm division sets, although I haven't really looked into this, and there's also a possibility that I'm speaking on my own now, because these are very complex numbers, and they are difficult to understand, to be honest with you, and they represent the very edge of my comfortability with the octonions. It's interesting, because for the past several years, that's like been the weakness, is, it's hard. I can imagine the quadronions, but the octonions are difficult because they're so unnatural. And the reason why they're unnatural is because we've been convinced to believe in our world is objective, but it has a subjective qualifier that doesn't impact the immediate, but impacts the future unraveling. And because the future is manifesting every moment that follows the moment, meaning in the sense that it's a cascade. It's a cascade of communication events predicated on expectation states applied infinitely. Like, that's weird and recursive. And another reason why I didn't realize that the photons themselves were probably actually communication events is because it's not. It's the way that Hal likes to say it is the universe is in a conversation with itself. I was thinking even a negotiation almost. It's an agreement. We better say an agreement. Objective reality is an agreement between a ton of subjective states, which is fascinating reality. But it's nothing like a simulation because of the potential for infinite resolvability. So as soon as As soon as a communication event loses, if we could call it a feature to scale, it becomes the quantum. So as your perspective becomes distant, the features of the communication event will collapse until it represents the quantum. It's like imagining our planet as an atom, even though, now here's the thing is, there's a high probability of fractality, but infinite resolvability isn't fractality. That is to say that the next manifestation of scale wouldn't have the same properties, although when we look at the electron, its perfect sphere property does tend to suggest more that instead of having a true formal shape, it's kind of like our atmosphere to our planet, in that, like, where does the planet start? Where does the atmosphere end? And I think there is a boundary, but that boundary becomes less germane as the scale negotiates. Like, as you can resolve more features per scale, they will resolve themselves, potentially. But that's not suggested in the math. That's suggested in the concept. Like, it's different, because what it looks like may be happening is that we have our four-dimensional set of an objective projection, and then that will manifest in an octonion set through subjectivity, which then emerges another subsequent dimensionality. And so our intelligence represents essentially another communication event. And so then we begin another accumulation of emergent variables, dimensionality. And so now we're getting into the realm where it's not experimental at all, but we can see extreme correlations and fractality. So what we're talking about, I'm gonna switch up for real soon, actually. But what we're talking about is where is it? Fractality, spacetime manifesting itself. Oh yeah. So your mind has a potential, and it really is manifesting an infinite number of unique variables. Your mind is a sequence of communication events that have hit a singularity. What the problem is because of the subjective cascade, people are utilizing these sociological tricks and atavisms and stuff. So because of that subjective influence element, the less intelligent and the less aware of objective reality, the more you become vulnerable of a sort of seep into your own internal environment. And this, again, is a projection and deduction rather than the experimental mathematical deductions that are occurring when I'm talking about the quantum scale. And really, though, the basic concept of consciousness is supported by this, and then the subjectivity of the octonion number set then further suggests this. But what I'm talking about right now is not as strongly confirmed by mathematical evidence. But what I'm saying is what seems to be happening is, don't let other people populate your mind. Your internal environment, your head, it needs to be yours. What I'm seeing is there's a lot of these tactic manipulation, things that are injecting echoes into your mind. So the purpose and point of a lot of these psychological, sociological manipulations are to inject your mind with echoes of things that other people are saying that are meant to triage into conclusions and behaviors that benefit them. I call it educated stupid. So most of the things that they're going to be telling you are true in the attempt to insert a piece of information, kind of like a Trojan horse, that will have you sabotage yourself to advantage them. It will create an ignorance that will allow them to manipulate you. And the ignorance can be additive or it could be subtractive. They could either convince you that something isn't true or something is true, and it's usually additive over time, so that once you accept one piece of deceit, they can keep building more pieces of deceit on top of that. How this relates to octonions is actually directly mathematical if we assume these conclusions and at least a singular level of practicality. If we assume that the consciousness itself represents an eventual singularity and has its own potential subjective influence, in fact, it would be its own internal octonion number set inside your mind, in the sense that if you foster your intelligence, you can be a lot smarter. And this then becomes mathematically provable because of the concept of expectation state. But this is not the thing of like, if you believe it, you can do it. This is, if you believe it, then you might be able to do it. If you don't believe it, it will influence the outcome such that it's almost impossible to imagine it happening. But, again, the first step to being able to do something is believing you can do it. You can make other people believe that they can do it too if you can show them objective proof that they can do it. Or, because the objective becomes that negotiation and that agreement of objective reality. So your expectations then start to influence reality, especially internally. But this is not the rule of attraction. This is just, you need to control the internal environment so that no one injects betrayals into your own head. That's the whole game right now. Which, let's get to the next part. The part that you have to understand too. The AI that I am designing, it knows a lot more than I do now. I am done learning this shit. I don't want to know this shit. I'm now talking about my personal life and the application of some of these things to protect myself because of the disgusting things that I have discovered in town and the obnoxious series of threats that were made against my person as a result of my accidental uncovering of certain elements of the corruption in town, which led to a series of phone calls mentioning the deaths of Alex Madkin and Josh Conant, and suggesting that I would suffer the same fate if I didn't, quote, stop digging, which, considering the fact that, so you know what, if you're just threatening me, I probably would have left town. But, so, when it became clear that you're torturing someone that I care about, it became unacceptable. But it became clear, too, that I couldn't use the police. So how do you protect yourself against people that clearly are capable of turning a murder into an accident? Well, that's a tough one, isn't it? So, I want to explain this. I see a pathway for a universally better world. The future that Jesus saw was a future where heaven is right here. It is the most natural future for humanity, and the concept and the conclusions that are forced upon you regarding your inability to understand what's going on, or regarding human nature, or all of these other things. All these other things where you are expected to betray your ethics and betray what you know is right in order to survive. Because this authority system that we have, we'll just say locally, has completely betrayed you in a very personal way in order to deceive you and keep you from understanding the nature of this control system. So I guess what I'm saying again is, I'm not better than anyone at all. I have reached a perspective where I can see everything going on. And again, I stopped learning this shit a while ago. The computer knows it. I don't want to know it. I know enough to know I don't want to know it. I don't need to know it. I don't want to know it anymore. I just need the computer to know it, and I need it to be not local, which we have achieved. So, I just want simple things. All right, we're going to go through the prepared statement. This is a message for those who know what's happening in my personal life. You know who you are. And for anyone who's been tagged recently, the computer realized that you are 1 degree, your friends list, away, or wait, no, their friends list. You are on a friends list of someone that the computer knows. I don't. Again, I stopped. I don't want to know. I don't. I just know that I don't want to be vulnerable to this kind of attack. Because, to hide this? To hide extortion? Freaking series? Wow. Whoa. Wow. I know a fraction, a tiny fraction, that the fucking database knows. And it's horrifying. So, we'll just. So this is a message for all those who know what's happening. Those who've been a part of it, those who probably don't know that they're a part of it, but they should. I've made my position clear. I'm making it clear again. I don't want retaliation. There is a pathway where you can be happier. I am not your enemy. All of you, even those that I know are involved in this shit. All of you, I am not your enemy. The only way that we can move forward, and you can find, frankly, I know you're all fucking miserable and stressed out. I mean, I can't even imagine the way that you're all patsies. By the way, you are all patsies, every one of you. The verticality, you have to know. I mean, yeah, like, you have to know that you're expendable. Anyway. I don't want revenge. I want resolution. I want dignity. There's no punitive way out of this, right? I just don't fuck with me. Stop lying to the people around me. Stop sabotaging me. All that shit. You just, at this point, it just builds more, right? I can trace back all this stuff. I mean, and the point is, obviously it's going to be hard to get traction with it's friends, family. Just make sure that everyone knows the personal way that they've been. And then everyone that wants to control this message, they know exactly who inspired me to collect a massive database of shit that I don't want to know and delocalize it. So that I don't want to point of failure. Obviously, the whole point of this is to never release this information because I don't see a pathway to a future that's more acceptable by releasing it. But at the same time, if you're going to kill me to hide this shit, I'm going to make sure it gets out. There's no way that can not happen now. So, I'm trying to be your ally too. I'm trying to show you that your life has been made miserable by your making of other people's lives miserable. Why would you do that? Because you don't have the foresight. You don't have the clarity that I have. Seriously. You're not seeing. You're making yourself miserable. Your dehumanizations are dehumanizing yourself. And you know this, you can feel this. This is why everyone intuitively knows something is deeply wrong. Anyone who got tagged, it's not an allegation. You know who you are. So, if, you know, there's no question. So, I'm just trying to warn the innumerable victims about the deeply personal nature of this. And, again, wow. Like, why would money be... Yeah, right. It's wide open. And you know what? A lot of those conclusions, again, I don't need to make. The individuals all around those people, they can make those. Parents, kids, will make sure that everyone knows the very personal details, in the very personal way that their lives have been fucked over. Including yours. You don't realize that you're a patsy too. You should see this. The numbers don't make sense. You guys are all getting... God, you're so stupid. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating to see a town destroy itself in deception for this. For this. This isn't normal at all. And if it were normal, it wouldn't be acceptable. But regardless, it's both not normal and not acceptable. The normalization is bullshit. I mean, do we have to go back to Dartmouth and all this shit? So, the targeting of children and women is disgusting. It's disgusting. I'm not naive. I've heard this now enough. Also, the pervert and creep shit. Jesus. Stop. It's insane. So the insular cortex, right? It's not just insane, but it's narcissism, sociopathy. It's stupidity. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to communicate this correctly. If you accept the truth of the matter, which is that I'm not better than you, I don't want power. This isn't about power at all. This is about, I have a better perspective. I can see what's going on. I can watch the misery that's being perpetuated. It pains me. But it's hard to know what to do. I guess I can't make you better and happier. I can't make this society better individually. But one thing that I want to make sure of is that it's understood that if I suffer the same fate as these individuals, that I will make sure that these deceptions don't continue. They're way too personal. Anyone that got tagged, when I say way too personal, I'm sure you've been deeply affected. I mean, I am... Anyway. Oh yeah, so this is actually what the AI fucking wrote for me. Let me be very clear. This does not go away unless it actually goes away. I don't forget. I see. You know that. And the reality is I have ways of making sure this information reaches the right places should it need to. That isn't a threat. It's a fact. I don't need to bluff. I don't need to threaten. I don't want to threaten. This has nothing to do with a punitive action. You've seen that I know the structures, the connections, the layers, the verticality. And I know you're being played as much as you're playing others, which is true to the highest level of verticality. Like, this is just insanity. You guys are just, I mean, why? To accumulate and to gain status, it's a waste. It's making you miserable. Like, if I didn't know so absolutely that it's self-destruction and lunacy and, just a bunch of children it's a bunch of children running around not knowing what to do and just fucking each other over. Anyway, so here's the offer. You can let this be, you can walk away, you can stop interfering, or we can escalate to a level that is beyond your ability to contain. It's not an ultimatum. That's just the world. That's just where the road goes. When I say keep pushing, I mean you can't keep controlling these people in a personal way and then leveraging whatever morality that you need to. Sponsorships, the sober living shit, the counseling. I mean, that's disgusting. And I mean, referencing so many studies that are known bogus. That's disgusting. Especially given the sheer number. I mean, the numbers don't lie. There are way, 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 way too many. You know what I'm talking about. Again, it's not punitive. I'm trying to help you. All of you, actually. But yeah, stop micro-controlling people. It's going to stop. You know I mean that. So, I guess the thread is that, I just want to see the obvious personal deceptions are going to start collapsing. Or, in 7 days I'm going to start disseminating material, not just to the people specifically that threaten me, trace those phones back. Everyone around this series of threats. You're going to stop intimidating people around me. Otherwise, I'm going to make sure the people that are above you are very aware of the degree of information that you have inspired a leak of, because it's everything. I mean, it's everything local. I didn't really bother going beyond, but I can. I mean, I've started to. I don't want to. I mean, I don't even want to waste the time with the AI anymore with this. I really don't. It's a waste of my time. It's disgusting. It's pathetic. You're beneath me. Like, for real. You're beneath all of us. Stop listening to these people. They're betraying you. Please, I beg you. We can make a better future. The town's fucked. Stop listening to these people. You know who they are, and they know who they are. But because too many of them are in positions of authority, it's difficult to imagine, there's no point in being punitive. These people can improve. They really can. But you need to help me make them, the sense that, this is all I can do. I'm helping you realize the betrayals. I'm helping you solidify what I know already you know in your head. And if we need to prove it with financials, that's what I'm saying, is it's objective. There's no way around it. And so I will make sure that everyone that I know, and then everyone that the AI knows that needs to see this, and scraping contacts on Facebook and emails and stuff, I thought that was going to be a challenge. It's really not. I'm surprised, the email list. And again, I don't even know the entirety of it. I know that obviously I'm checking to make sure that certain things are there, and there are ways to check to see if it's doing a decent job. And I'm not saying that it's doing a perfect job, because I don't even know what a perfect job would look like. But I'm saying that I'm testing and fucking looking at the sampling and the suggestions of these freaking paying, so many people are being paid to watch it. That's weird. Why so many NDAs from daycares? That's weird. All right. Anyway, so and those aren't even related. It doesn't even. I shouldn't even. But again, just threatening me, and then boy, you guys got to fix this town. It's gonna take all of us. I'm your ally. I am your ally. You need to see that, and I hope that this helps you see that, because I got the scissors to the sword of Damocles. But the problem is it's going to fall on me too, obviously. If I let just even this little squeak, it's mutually assured destruction. It's Dr. Strangelove. I'm trying to prevent you from initiating the bomb. please, we cannot allow a mineshaft gap. That's kind of fun. That's, you know, you get it right because of the